heart is in the right place. He wants to be student body president. But there are a lot of things that he doesn't understand. He doesn't understand the numbers. He doesn't understand the operations of the board. He doesn't understand the demographics of the school and what needs to be done. We can see with his plan, for example, of fraternities. Fraternities only make up 3% of student life on campus. We need a student government body president who's inclusive and who knows what's going on campus. Thank you.
Thank you. Timos, what would be the last word on this?
Yes. To say that I don't understand the workings of the Board of Trustees, I believe that's what you meant by the board, is kind of coming from nowhere. A person who's interacted with board members, who has had constant contact with them through board meetings and board dinners. I've had a very close relationship with a lot of the board members. And when you say about the fraternities, there is actually a lot of resistance. A lot of people told me, don't say that because you'll be fighting against your own people. It's not that I want to serve the fraternities. It's that I want to ensure that our college doesn't have the same issue that these colleges around the country are having with misbehavior in Greek life. Because that's not what Marist values itself on. Marist values itself on a good set of core values. But the rest of my platform is built on things that the students want and a clear understanding of how to accomplish that. The meeting with the VP of Advancement today about the mentorship program signifies that.
Thank you. This next question, we'll start with Timos. Candidates often talk about the importance of transparency and accessibility. What specific initiatives and projects would you undertake to make Marist SGA more transparent and accessible?
Well, the first step that I've taken is being on the Rules and Administration Committee, which serves to take another look at the bylaws and fix what is wrong with them and rewrite them in the places that it needs to be rewritten. Above that, over the next year, it is my plan to work with the senators and truly investigate better forms of student government where it's more inclusive for all students. Simply having such a small Senate that's supposed to represent the student body that was built ages ago, that was formed in its size ages ago, is simply not working for a constantly growing campus. We have over 4,500 undergrads here. To say that the same number of senators has been working for us for all this time doesn't make any sense. To increase that by adding more representatives per class, by having senators at large as well as many class representatives, so that your voice is heard, and so that there's not just your class president that sits on these student government meetings, but also your class representatives that will focus more on smaller issues, while your student body senators will take on larger issues that focus really on the school at large instead of just on your classes. Because inclusivity is what's important in transparency. You can't be transparent without including people. And again, that falls back to appointment on campus committees. Thank you.
Thank you. Goodman, you have a minute and a half.
Yeah, sure. One major issue here has been Timos' administration. Has been the whole issue of retention rate. So retention rate obviously means the number of people that want to go into government and then stay in. His administration has had one of the highest retention rates, and obviously his appointments, as we know, to be very politically correct, has been people in his close networks. So we do not understand how he plans to be like miraculously very, very inclusive. But one thing that I'm going to talk about being very transparent is that Brendan and I launched a platform yesterday, which is IUN. And a lot of students, about 300 actually, used our platform to actually give feedback and introduce ideas. And we believe that these means that his administration has are traditional means, like sitting down in meetings. We have seen even in town halls, there was literally 2 people who were not student government members. Students don't have the time to do this. So one thing that we're going to do with transparency is how do we make it very responsive? How do we make it very accessible? And making this information accessible online in a very innovative way. Thank you.
Thank you. Timos, 45 seconds to rebut.
Yes, thank you. First, I'd like to touch on the retention rates that you spoke about. In order for one to say that retention rates are high, which doesn't sound like the worst thing in the world, I don't know about you guys. When we came in, we noticed that there were people that are sitting in this room right now. Sam DeVito, who's the VP of clubs, Maddie Cashew, who's our CFO, were people that from the old administration were necessary because they had such great knowledge. So in that respect, retention rates was a very good idea. In terms of your future retention rates, and transparency as well, the retention rate of your executive vice president needs to be addressed in terms of where he will be next semester. Thank you.
Thank you. Goodman, would you like to respond?
Yes, sure. And obviously we know what he is appealing to. He's going to ask us, Brandon, going abroad, you know, what then happens. So another question we can ask is, what happens to the CEO of Apple when he goes on vacation? The show continues. Apple goes on functioning. Apple sells the phones. Everything goes on. So the whole issue here is not about the candidates. It's not about us. It's not about Brandon being there or not. It's about us going there, putting the vision and getting the work done. Whether you're there or not, if you're a very, very strong leader, work gets done. Thank you.
Thank you. Timos, would you like a 30-second rebuttal?
Thank you. The real reason why I bring up Brendan Lee not being here next semester and being abroad in Australia is because by voting for Goodman, you also vote for Brandon. And by Brandon going abroad next semester, your voice is taken away. You no longer have a voice in student government when your vice president that you elect goes abroad and someone else is put in their place. I feel like that's a backstab to the students. Thank you.
Thank you. And Goodman, you have 30 seconds for last word.
Thank you very much. Past week, I flew to Dubai. I had to go home. And I flew back to South Africa. And Brandon moved from the US and he went to London. And we were working together, virtual meeting, online, Skype, we got work done. The campaign, effective. We believe that he has very traditional means of leadership. That's why we need innovation. You can hold meetings online. You can do things in a very innovative and effective way. And I strongly believe, I still say this, he does not understand new ways of leading and new ways of doing things. Thank you.
Thank you. This question will start with you, Goodman. Kind of going off the last question. Many students feel that student government does not do much for the students. Do you agree with that statement? And if so, how do you change that?
Okay, true, I do believe that. And the whole issue is, one, Marist is not that old. Marist is not even 100 years old. And it's an institution that's still growing. We've shown that the endowment, Vasa has 10 times the endowment Marist has. And one thing that we want to do is, you can only grow in an institution if you become very inclusive, which obviously Timos and Crystal have a very good influence in sitting in the board. And what we want to do is be very inclusive. Inclusive means grow other initiatives on campus. For example, special programs, how clubs operate on campus, how athletes are supported, how international students, how the HEOP program, scholarships. When we talk about transfer students and the students that go to the Florence program, we believe that in order for Marist College to be very prestigious, it cannot continue this way. We need to be very innovative about how we become more inclusive, and that enhance will then grow Marist College. And we've seen with great institutions in the US, such as Harvard, which is very inclusive. They come up with ideas that are very inclusive, that add students into the larger mission of the college. And we believe that this is why voting Goodman and Brandon will bring that change to Marist. Thank you.
Thank you. Timos?
While I agree that there are many steps that we have to take in order to increase inclusivity here in student government, I think that we've gone in the right direction over the past year. I think members of student government will agree with that, and members of the student body will agree with that as well. When you speak about the endowment, I don't understand what the correlation between the student government and the endowment is. Speaking with advancement today, it's advancement's role to deliver the endowment. And actually, speaking to Chris Del Giorno, the mentorship program that I proposed to him, he believes will increase our Marist endowment. But that's not the question. The question is inclusivity. And the point of Marist student government is to hear from the students through surveys, through town hall meetings, and although you made the comment in your speech about the lack of effectiveness of surveys, you also went and did a survey yourself, which is important to ask for student feedback in your campaign. So I, again, will say that surveying and getting students' opinions is important. And really sitting down and having mobile office hours, having a way to get students to contact student government members and to be in direct feedback of student government is important. Thank you.
Thank you. Goodman, 45 seconds.
Yeah, Timos lives in a bubble, and he lives in a bubble on his own. If he says that to us, there's no correlation between the endowment and student government. That is a big flaw. The endowment obviously is the money that's given by alumni. So how does the student government correlate with the endowment? We make sure that the students that come here for 4 years have the best experience ever. And then after they leave the college, because they have this best experience on campus, they can then give back the money, which is the endowment fee. So if he's saying that the student government has nothing to do with it, it means that he's been very careless about innovating ways that can make the student life on campus very, very effective, which will in turn, students then turn into the money that you see the negative data has been named out there in alumni, the Lowell Thomas has been named in alumni. There is a great correlation between endowment and student government.
Thank you. Timos, 45 seconds.
By a show of hands, how many of you are up to your neck in student loans? Yeah. The issue with endowment is not how much fun you have in college. It's about how engaged the school is with you after you graduate and how tied you feel still to the school. Just begging alumni for money is not how you get a larger endowment. Well, yes, it is, but it's not how you truly get the alumni involved and how you truly grow it exponentially. You'll grow it in short, small increments, but not exponentially. You need to have that connection. And to go back to the mentorship program, that's how you make them invested in this college. That's how you invest the alumni both in time and financially to this school and to you students.
Thank you. Goodman, would you like to do a 30-second response?
Yeah, the Daily Beast, if you know that's by, it's a website by Newsweek. They Marist #2 to be lowest return on investment colleges across the US. So they were saying Marist college students pay a lot of money and they get less in education. So the big issue here obviously is student loans. Student loans are a big issue in the US. But now when the school, again, I'm saying Timos does not understand this, when the school has a lot of money, it therefore means that the school can get a lot of scholarships. The student government has a role in playing in this and improving the endowment of the school. And there is a correlation between the market.
Thank you. Timos, unless,
Yes.